Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, bring you a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, bring you comics news, and reveal the books I bought this week. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching the Comic Hero Show. Now kick that intro! Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. The summer of superheroes continues, and I know that I said that I was going to wear a Storm Comic Hero tee on this week's episode, but then I learned a few days ago of the passing of legendary comics writer Denny O'Neil. Now, Denny was a lot of things. I mean, he's written a lot of books, co-created a lot of, I mean, he's practically done a lot. Alongside editor Julius Schwartz and artist Neil Adams, he was also credited for bringing Batman back to his darker roots. Now, this was as a result of Batman's the TV show. Now, when the TV show was campy, DC had no choice but to follow suit. And even when the TV show ended, the books were still campy, and the sales and their sales just plunged. And so they brought Batman back to the roots, the way that Bob Kane and Bill Finger intended them to be. And Denny has written issues of Batman Detective Comics and Batman Legends of the Dark Knight, and even served as an editor of the Batman titles from 1986 to 2000. And he created the Batman character Azrael, and also created villains Ra's al Ghul and Talia al Ghul. And he paired up Green Arrow and the Hal Jordan Green Lantern for a tandem series. And while I'm thinking about that, before he became the writer of Batman, he wrote a story in an issue of Green Lantern that talked about Speedy's heroin addiction, and in it he pretty much stressed how deadly drugs are. And heroin was a very big thing that was up and coming. It was a drug that a lot of folks started and quickly become addicted to, and he wrote about it, and it raised eyebrows. But he has the same philosophy on comics that I do. He believed that comics are an amplified version of real life. And so he had to write about that. And also, he's written a highly acclaimed and legendary Superman versus Muhammad Ali one-shot. And he also was at Marvel. He co-created Obadiah Stane, Lady Deathstrike, Hydro Man, and Madam Web. And he also worked on Transformers and helped name Optimus Prime. So this man has really done a lot. This man really did a lot in his life, and he lived a good full life. He was 81, but when someone dies, especially someone like someone who has done a lot like Denny has, you can't help but feel sad, and I really am sad. As a matter of fact, I have some of his work, and I even dig through the old comics that I had and reread some of it. Alright, well, this is a Batman Comic Hero tee. I'm wearing this on this week's episode. And inside the speech bubble, you have the bats, and then you have the Batman logo on the sleeves, and to go along with it, this Batman hat. If you're watching this and you personally knew Denny, or you're a family member of Denny, my condolences go out to y'all. I love y'all even though I don't know y'all. And And I don't know, and I don't care what anyone says, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And I know Dennis O'Neil is with the Lord right now. All right, it's time to give away a free t-shirt. All right, on last week's episode, I asked, what was the name of the Marvel miniseries in which the Superhero Registration Act was passed? Now, I gave some hints here on the show and on social media. The first hint, the third Captain America movie was loosely based on this miniseries. The second hint, this miniseries is also the name of the annual football rivalry between Oregon and Oregon State. And then the third and final hint, this was a dead giveaway. This miniseries is also the name of an American war fought from 1861 until 1865. Well, the correct answer is Civil War. And 16 people have answered correctly, and because they've answered correctly, their names have been entered in a drawing for a free tee. And that drawing takes place right now. So the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is Woody Brooks from Bossier City, Louisiana. So congratulations, Woody. Win yourself a free Comic Hero tee. All right, here's the question for next week's episode, and this is a Batman question. And this is also in memory of Dennis O'Neil. Which Batman villain made their debut in the classic Batman story entitled Daughter of the Demon? Now, here's some hints. The first hint, the issue was Batman number 232. The second hint, this villain is the grandfather of the current Robin, Damian Wayne. And then the final hint, and this is a dead giveaway, especially if you saw Batman Begins. Liam Neeson played the role of this villain in Batman Begins. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. Alright, now Bill Scarborough from Bastrop, Louisiana has requested a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, and this one features the main man going up against the Savage Avenger. Representing DC, we have Lobo. And representing Marvel, we have Conan the Barbarian. These two are going to duke it out in a segment I like to call
The Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown.
Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today, it's Lobo versus Conan the Barbarian. Lobo possesses superhuman senses, strength, speed, stamina, and durability, regeneration, immortality, and genius-level intellect. Conan the Barbarian possesses agility, berserker strength, healing factor, intellect, marksmanship, omnilingualism, superhuman stamina, stealth, superhuman strength, swordsmanship, superhuman tracking, and is an unarmed combat and weapons master. Who will win? The two would be evenly matched, but they both have advantages over one another. Lobo will try to sneak attack Conan, but the latter will go stealth in a means to lead Lobo to believe that he has superhuman speed. After hours of fighting, the two soon understand that they have met each other's match. This fight ends in a draw. But wait! Just as the two are walking away, Lobo hurls his hook connected to a titanium alloy chain and fatally guts Conan. Lobo wins, and that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Alright, thank you Bill Scarborough for that request. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I'll have another one for next week. Now it's time for Comically Speaking, so without further ado, let's talk comics! Alright, there are two things we're going to talk about in this segment of Comically Speaking, and the first one is the news that Brian Michael Bendis has announced that he's stepping down as writer of both Superman and Action Comics. He announced this while he was a guest on David Harper's Off the Panel podcast, or Off Panel podcast rather, and he was talking about how much fun he had done that, and he also talked about a near-death experience that he had right before he signed with DC. He was diagnosed with a MRSA infection, which is a staph infection, and it went septic, and he spent nearly a month in the hospital with numerous visits to the ICU while he was there. I just hope, now he didn't exactly say why he was stepping down, but I just hope that he's not having a reoccurrence of the infection, because that's a very serious and deadly infection. But the only thing I'm wondering is who's going to write the book now, and also if they're going to write out Superman being Superman's identity being public, which is still something that I'm still having a hard time dealing with. But you know, Brian Michael Bendis, he's a great writer. I just believe that he doesn't really do well writing writing adult superheroes. Now with young superheroes, he does no wrong. No, well, except for when he killed off Peter Parker in the Ultimate line of books. Oh, and also, speaking of Brian Michael Bendis, I have another story that I want to share with y'all on next week's episode. But right now, the second thing is that despite the fact that San Diego Comic-Con has been canceled for the year, they are hosting an online event next month, and it's going to be on the same days of when San Diego Comic-Con was supposed to be, July 22nd through the 26th, which is 5 days. And they're going to call it San Diego Comic-Con at Home. And they're going to give folks a chance to go on their website and visit, and they're going to they're going to give folks the opportunity to print free badges, and give folks the opportunity to virtually meet some of the guests there, and then they're going to give away some free stuff. Now, the way that you enter this, you go on the website and then you enter the hashtag Comic-Con at Home. You know what? I'm honestly going to do that myself, because, you know what? Going to San Diego Comic-Con, which I consider the granddaddy of them all, it's been something that's always been on my bucket list. And I may not be able to go in person, but this is the closest thing, and then I can gladly say that I went to San Diego Comic-Con. And I'm also encouraging anyone else that's interested, whether you've been to a con or if you've been to a con before or not, check this out. I mean, I know this pandemic's really put a hamper on a lot of things, but you know, go ahead and do this. You know, all the folks that have organized San Diego Comic-Con, I mean, they're doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, and I think we should follow suit and attend. All right, that's it for Comically Speaking. Let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
All right, first up is Batman number 92. Deadpool number 5. Excalibur number 10. The Flash number 755. Really excited about this one. The Joker 80th Anniversary Special. Justice League number 46. Justice League Odyssey number 21. Legion of Superheroes number 6. Miles Morales Spider-Man number 17. And finally, New Mutants number 10. Alright, that's 10, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 10,029. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Here's a question again for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. Which Batman villain made their debut in the classic Batman story entitled Daughter of the Demon? Now, here's some hints. The name of this issue was Batman number 232 in 1971. The second hint, this character is the grandfather of current Robin, Damian Wayne. And then the third and final hint, Liam Neeson played this villain in Batman Begins in 2005. Everyone who answers correctly been in the drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to Woody Brooks from Bossier City, Louisiana, who won a free tee on this week's episode. Alright, the Summer of Superheroes rolls on, and on next week's episode, I'm wearing a Black Panther comic hero tee. And I'll go ahead and say, just like I said last week, let's be kind to each other. Let's just love one another. I mean, there's a lot of things going on right now. There's the pandemic. There are these protests for social injustice. But let us not be blind to the fact that the only way that we're going to get through any type of adversity is love. I mean, it starts with love and it ends with love. And, life's too short to hate. I mean, hate is such a very, well, excuse the expression, hate is such a very damning word. And it's a very damning thing to do. And and I don't know about y'all, but I can't hate. I can't hate anyone. And I believe we all need to love each other because life is just too short to hate. I mean, if you hate someone, that's not a reflection on the person you hate. That's a reflection on you. So, be kind to each other. Love one another. It's not that hard. Alright, I'm Victor Nunley on The Comic Hero. I'll see you next week for episode 316. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero, and rest in love, Denny O'Neil. We love you.